Hi, thank you for joining me today. My name is Anna, and today's class is called Stabilize for Freedom. And we are going to be working on finding this stability in our shoulders, and really specifically in how we can hold our shoulder blades, also known as our scapula, firmly on our back ribs in a variety of different shapes. So since naturally our shoulders have quite a bit of range of motion, which is really wonderful because we can do all of these things that we need to with our arms, hopefully. It also means that when we start from this base of kind of strength and stability, it makes it a lot easier to be able to move in all of these ways that we want to, both on our mats and in our lives, with this sense of freedom. So let's go ahead and get started off on our backs, and grab a hold of a block if you have one handy here. And we're going to start by placing the feet on the floor and take the block just in between your thighs. And if you notice that when your head comes down, if your chin is jutting up and the back of your neck is shortening, you can always have a block or a blanket behind your head as well. And we'll just start off here by softening or closing your eyes. And begin to notice your breath. And then as you bring a little bit more focus to your breath, start to imagine that you could breathe three-dimensionally into your rib cage, almost as if there was like a set of hands kind of holding around the ribs. You could even take your own hands there to feel that. So we're not breathing just up into the chest, but we're breathing into the fronts of the ribs, the sides of the ribs, the back of the ribs. And then as you notice that breath getting a little bit deeper, bring some attention to the fronts of your shoulders. So now we're looking at what's known as the humeral heads, which is this ball and socket joint of the shoulder. And notice the fronts of your shoulders want to lift up toward the ceiling. And just begin to visualize those shoulder heads softening down toward the floor, just feeling that sense of openness and spaciousness in your chest wall. And then feel your shoulder blades on your back, one on the right, one on the left. And just feel them softening down as well. And then if you move a little bit lower, just feel your lower back ribs get heavy toward the floor, noticing if you have any sort of tendency to lift them or thrust them upward. And just let them sink down. And let's take 2 more breaths here. And then you can blink your eyes open if they were closed. Now let's bring your hands into fists. And so your elbows are down on the floor. There's a little bit of space between your elbows and the sides of your waist, like you were holding like a little loaf of French bread or something there. And now dig your elbows down into the floor. And as you do that, I want you to imagine and really feel the action of your shoulder blades on your back, almost like they were lifting, like pulling toward your chest, like into your body. And then you can release them. And we're just gonna do that about 4 or 5 more times. So dig down, feel the shoulder blades pull into the body. And now as you do this, I want you to notice what your ribs are doing. And notice that the ribs are not We're not rounding the back and thrusting the ribs up, but we're holding those front ribs down as we pull the shoulder blades into the body. So it's just around the scapula, around the shoulder blades, kind of around the armpit. We're just feeling this action, out letting the ribs go. That's it. All right, and now we'll release that back down. Let's take your hands onto the tops of your thighs with straight arms. And now begin to feel your lower back ribs once again get heavy toward the floor. Lengthen your tailbone toward your heels. And then start to push into the feet and feel your glutes turn on. So you can even reach back and give these big glute muscles a little bit of a tap. And then we're gonna drive the glutes up into a low bridge. So gently hugging that block. And now same thing here. Feel that these front ribs are held down. You can even take a hand there. We're lengthening the tailbone and those lower back ribs are heavy toward the floor. And now let's start to do some little pulses here. Just waking up our glutes. And I just have my hands on the ribs because I know I have a tendency to want to kind of lift them up toward the ceiling. So it's just that little reminder for the ribs to hold down so that the glutes are really doing the work. I'm not going into my low back. Take a couple more breaths there. Nice. And now we're going to stay up in this bridge. Reach your arms straight up toward the ceiling. Nice. And so starting off here, feel your shoulder blades almost like they're drawing in towards each other a little bit. So you really feel them on the back ribs. And now we're going to reach the fingertips up toward the ceiling. So this is called protraction. We're spreading the shoulder blades apart on the back. And then do the opposite again. So bring the shoulder blades down and they're maybe slightly drawing in towards each other, like in a little bit of retraction, but just enough to kind of come back to neutral where they're sitting on the back ribs. And then come into protraction again. So we reach the fingers up, the shoulder blades pull apart, and then come back into a little bit of retraction, just enough to feel those shoulder blades held on the back ribs. One more time. Reach the fingers up. Now we're gonna hold it here. Start to take your arms up and over, but you're only going so far as what you can maintain in the ribs. So if the arms go back too far and you start to like thrust up in the ribs, back it up a little bit, hold the front ribs down, and just go as far as you can while you're maintaining that. Harder than it sounds. And then we're going to flip the fingers back, almost like you were holding a tray there. Take the right hand and pull the left fingers back for a wrist stretch. Glutes are still working. We're lengthening in the tailbone. Front ribs are staying down. And switch your hands. Left hand pulls the right fingers back. And then we'll bring our hands back, straight arms, hands on the thighs. Super slowly, we're gonna lower down like one vertebra at a time. Come all the way down. That's it. All right, so let's keep the block where it is. Bring your hands behind your head. Cup the skull, hug your elbows in. Take an inhale breath. Exhale, lift up off your shoulder blades. Good. Now take a hand to your front ribs. Hold those front ribs down and see if you can get up a little bit higher. Keeping that sacrum right at the base of your spine heavy on the floor. Hand behind your head. Inhale to lower. Exhale, lift up. Now we're going to turn 1 inch to the left, staying up off this left shoulder blade. Now take your right hand, cup it around the left side of your rib cage, pull the ribs in towards center like you're hugging them in, and maybe lift up a little higher off that left scapula. Hand behind the head, come back through center, inhale to lower. Exhale, lift up. Turn 1 inch to the right, staying up off your right shoulder blade. Take your left hand, cup it around the right side of your ribs, and then hug them in more. See if you can get up off that right shoulder blade higher. Amazing. Come back through center, left hand behind your head. Inhale to lower. Exhale, lift up. Turn 1 inch to the left. Right hand cups the left side of the ribs. Hug them in more. And now flare your left elbow out to the left without lowering on that left shoulder blade. It's a lot of work. Come back through center, right hand behind your head, and lower. Exhale, lift up. Turn 1 inch to the right. Left hand cups around the right side of the ribs. Pull them in to lift you up a little bit higher. And now flare your right elbow out to the right without lowering that right shoulder blade. That's it. Come back through center, elbow in, hand behind your head. Inhale to lower. Exhale, lift up. Turn 1 inch to the left. Right hand cups around the left side of the ribs. Pull them in, flare that left elbow. Now we're going to take this left elbow down to the floor just like we did before. Dig that left elbow down, pull that left shoulder blade up into your body. So much work. Left hand behind your head, right hand behind your head. Inhale to lower. Little surprise with that one. Last time here, exhale, lift up. Turn 1 inch to the right. Left hand cups the right ribs. Hug them in. Flare the right elbow without lowering down on that shoulder blade. And then right elbow comes down to the floor. Dig it down, feel that right shoulder blade lift into your body. Back through center, right hand behind your head, left hand behind your head, and release. Whew, amazing work. So we'll take that block away, you can roll over to your side, and we're gonna come up into a quadruped or tabletop position. Okay, so shoulders are right over the wrist and your hips are right over your knees. Now we're gonna take actually, before we get into that, we're gonna do what is called a scapular puffs. And so I want you to think about maintaining this length in your spine. We're not letting the pelvis tilt forward. And we're just gonna move around the shoulder blades. So starting by softening your chest toward the floor, and then push the floor away, lift up in between your shoulder blades. So let's do it a couple more times. So we're just softening in between the shoulder blades, and then pushing the floor away, lifting up in between the shoulder blades. So when you come down, it's a little bit of retraction, of a drawing together of those scapula. And then when you push the floor away and move the shoulder blades apart, that is called protraction. So let's do that one more time. Still holding those front ribs in. Okay, now we're gonna come into neutral. So we're not necessarily in protraction or retraction, but you feel just a little tiny bit of that softening of the chest toward the floor. So you feel that the shoulder blades are really firmly, they're really secured well on those back ribs. Nice. Now, we're gonna take your left leg, reach it straight back with the toes on the floor. So check in that that left glute is engaging. We're holding the tailbone lengthening back, the pubic bone zipping up. And now you can try reaching your right arm forward. Keeping the head in line so we're not looking forward, we're not dropping the head. Feel the work now of that left shoulder blade holding in place on those left back ribs. You could always try hovering the back leg if you like. Just gonna put more demand on that left scapula to stabilize. Now we'll lower the right hand and the left knee and switch sides. So right leg reaches back. Hold the shoulder blades on the back ribs so we're not collapsing here and we're not overly rounding. Right glute is working. Pubic bone is zipping up. Left arm can reach forward. Can hold it there, feeling that work of that right shoulder blade holding in place on those back ribs. Maybe you try lifting the back leg. You got it. Simple movement, but a lot of work when we really start to isolate it like this. Watching the head, not jutting the chin, not dropping the head. Left hand and right knee lower back down. Good. So let's lower down onto your forearms. We're eventually going to end up in a dolphin. So if you like to interlace your hands, you're welcome to here, or have your forearms parallel. But we're going to start by protracting in the shoulder blade. So push down into the forearms, spread the scapula apart on your back, and then tuck your toes, and as if someone had like a string attached to your hips, we're going to pike the hips up. Let your head release. Holding the front ribs in, and let's just begin to rock on the toes. Letting that head go. So feel as you push down into the floor with your forearms, it's like you're lifting all of this energy up into the apex of your pelvis. Big full breaths, just like we did before. Breathing three-dimensionally into the rib cage. One more big breath there. Good. And then we'll lower the knees and come all the way up to stand at the front of the mat. All right. So let's take a big full breath in. Reach your arms forward and up. Lift from the shoulder blades. And then exhale. We'll hinge and forward fold from the hips. You can always have your hands on blocks here. Slide your right foot back. Lower the knee on the top of the foot. Inhale, arms lift up. So feel that right glute wrapping down. The front ribs are holding back. Plant your hands. Slide your left foot back for plank. Now lower your knees just straight down and feel here the shoulder blades holding on the back ribs. So we're not collapsing here and we're not rounding in the back. So feel the chest is open. And then we're going to bend the elbows just a little bit, like a third of the way, keeping the fronts of your shoulders lifted. Straighten your arms, lift your knees, downward facing dog. In your down dog, lift the front ribs up, lift the armpits and the forearms up away from the floor. Right leg reaches up, push into the hands to pull that right foot through, lower the left knee, lower the top of the foot, inhale, arms lift up. Left glute wraps down, front ribs are holding back. Plant the hands on blocks or the floor in front of you. Slide your left foot up to meet your right. Inhale, rise to stand, arms reach forward and up. Exhale, hinge and fold. Keep those front ribs in. Slide your left foot back. Lower the left knee, the top of the foot. Inhale, arms lift up. That left glute is working, it's wrapping down. We're holding the front ribs in and reaching from the shoulder blades. Plant the hands, step back for plank. Lower the knees, just straight down. Now feel the shoulder blades held on the back ribs, the chest is open, and as we bend the elbows a little bit, the fronts of the shoulders stay lifted, they don't dip down toward the floor. Straighten the arms, lift the knees, downward facing dog. Feel the front ribs lift up here. You can bend the knees a lot. We're not collapsing the armpits toward the floor, so we're providing that support for the shoulders. Left leg reaches up. Step that left foot forward as you push into the hands. Lower the right knee in the top of the foot. Inhale, arms lift up. Right glute is working, it's wrapping down, holding the ribs in, reaching the shoulder blades up. Plant the hands. Step the right foot up to meet the left. Inhale, rise to stand. We've got one more round of this and we're going to switch it up a little bit. So exhale, hinge and forward fold. Could always put the fingers in the hip crease. Step the right foot back, lower the knee but not the toes this time. Okay. So we're going to come up and now start to circle in the shoulders. And as you circle in the shoulders, really put your brain into the shoulder blades on your back. and see if you can initiate the movement from there. That's it. You can move your head and your neck a little bit, and just feeling a little bit of this freedom we get when we start to work from the scapula, from the shoulder blades, just clearing up any tightness, any restrictions, any stickiness that might be present there. Plant the hands, slide the left foot back for plank, lower the knees, and this time we're gonna lower slowly all the way, but once again, watch the fronts of those shoulders that they're not dipping forward, lowering the pubic bone down first. Good. Inhale for cobra, dragging the hands back, pulling the chest through, keeping the neck long. Lower back down, tuck the toes. Knees can stay down as you push back up, plank, downward facing dog. Right leg reaches up, inhale. Exhale, push into the hands to pull that foot through. Lower the left knee. Keep the toes tucked here. And we'll go right into those shoulder rolls again. And just feel that left glute working. The ribs are staying held in. And we're just mobilizing around the shoulders, around the scapula. If it sounds a little like snap, crackle, pop, no worries. We'll plant the hands in front of you. Step the left foot up to meet the right. Inhale, rise to stand. Arms reach up. Exhale, hinge and forward fold. Plant the hands, step the left foot back, lower the knee but not the toes. This time bring your right hand back around to your sacrum, so right at the base of your spine. Left hand comes behind your head. And now feel your skull move back into that top hand. And notice the front of your body, the front of your pelvis, moving back towards your bottom hand. The front ribs are holding back. And so you almost get this feeling of lengthening top to bottom in the spine. That's it. Plant your hands. Step your right foot back for plank. Lower the knees. Lower slowly, keeping the shoulder heads lifted. Pubic bone lands first. Inhale, drag your hands back. Lengthen your spine. Lower back down from cobra. Knees can stay down. Push back into your plank. Downward facing dog. Left leg reaches up, inhale. Exhale, step the foot forward, push the hands down. Lower the right knee, not the toes. Lift up. Right hand behind your head, left hand to your sacrum this time. Same thing, move your whole skull back into the top hand. Move the front body back into the bottom hand. And then lengthen, tailbone down, crown of the head up. Feel like you could grow yourself an inch taller. Plant the hands. We'll step the right foot up next to the left. Rise to stand, inhale. Exhale, hinge and fold. So our sequence here is going to start the same way. Let's step the right foot back, lower the knee but not the toes. And bring your hands interlaced behind your head with your elbows out. And now even here, feel the shoulder blades lightly draw in towards each other so that they're held on your back. So they almost provide like this little support for the chest. So it's like they're holding the chest open here. Take an inhale. Exhale, rotate from your sternum in the center of your chest to the left and back through center. Inhale. Exhale, rotate. So we've got 3 more of these. And as you rotate, keep holding that right glute strong, holding it firm so that we aren't turning the pelvis along with the ribs. That's it. Last one here. We're going to hold that turn to the left and then land your right hand underneath your shoulder on either a block or the floor. And now take your left hand to cup your right shoulder. So we're going to prevent the shoulder from coming forward or holding it back. And then turn your chest to the left And as you do that, notice that this right shoulder doesn't come forward with you. We're leaning back into that scapula, into that shoulder blade. The left arm can reach up. Now you can stay here or tuck your back toes and lift the back knee. Take a couple full big breaths into that top side of your rib cage. That back glute is working. One more breath. You can just let your head release there. And then we're going to bring the left hand next to the right. Turn to face the long edge of the mat, parallel your feet, and we'll sit back for some side lunges. So alternating side to side. Now we're going back into the hip creases. So if you'd like to, you can have the fingers right in the hip creases, just encouraging that movement back, like you're sitting into the glutes, not going forward into the knees. The hands could be on the floor or blocks. You could also have your hands on your thighs. Now turn to face the back of the mat. We're going to lower this left knee for a gate. So swivel your left leg back, and your right leg will now be at the former front of the mat. Left hand is directly underneath your shoulder. Now same thing here, hug that left shoulder away from the ear, and we're going to pull this left shoulder blade into your body, like in toward your chest without thrusting the ribs. And the right arm can reach up. You could stay here or bring your right fingers onto this humeral head and start to roll in this right shoulder. Almost like a little mini backstroke. Keep zipping up in the pubic bone, holding that left shoulder blade on the back ribs. So we're stabilizing in the left shoulder as we mobilize in the right shoulder. Good. Now, bring the right hand down to the floor. Now we're going to internally rotate the right hip, so the right foot will swivel behind you. Left toes will face the front of the mat, so this is called stargazer. Good. Same thing here. Plug that right shoulder blade into your body and pick your left elbow up. Good. So the left palm can face away from you. We're just getting this really nice opening on this whole left side. And supported by that work of the right shoulder. Nice. Now let's bring the hands down. Lift up into downward facing dog with the left leg up. Bend your left knee and let's start to circle in the hip. And so we're just moving now this ball and socket of the hip joint without changing the pelvis, without changing anything else. Switch directions. Keep lifting the armpits, lifting the front ribs up away from the floor. Gorgeous. And now push into the hands, step your left foot as far forward as you can. Turn to face the long edge of the mat here for a goddess pose. So the feet are turned out as much as it feels comfortable for you. Nice. And we're not overly tipped one way or the other in the pelvis. So holding the front ribs in. Now bring your arms out in front of you. So I'll turn this way so you can see. We're going to cross the right hand on top of the left and then pull the arms back like you're holding on to like a giant wheel or something here. And then come in front of you again, left hand on top of the right. Pull the arms back. So we're just going to be alternating back and forth with those. So the elbows stay high, forearms face the floor. As you pull back, feel the shoulder blades pull into the body without thrusting the ribs. Let's keep going there. Couple more. All right, so feel that work of pulling the arms back as the shoulder blades pull into the body. Pull into the body. Nothing changes in the ribs. Amazing. Now, we're going to turn to face the front of the mat, three-legged downward facing dog. Right leg reaches up. Good. Now step the right foot forward, coming into a bent knee, standing L, left leg reaches back. So your hands could always be on blocks here, but what I want you to feel is there's that slight softening of the chest toward the floor, so you feel these little like feet of the shoulder blades on your back ribs. Now left foot steps back, right leg reaches up, three-legged down dog. Push into the hands, step that right foot as far forward as you can. Pull the chest through the arms, left leg reaches back, just to hip height. Left foot is down, right foot lifts up. Three-legged down dog. Let's do this 2 more times. Step it forward, left leg reaches up. Pull the chest through, feel the shoulder blades on the back ribs. Last time, right leg reaches up, three-legged down dog. Step the foot forward, lift the back leg, and then step the left foot next to the right. Rise to stand. Inhale, we got one more side. You're doing amazing. Exhale, hinge and forward fold. Plant your hands. Step your left foot back, lower the knee, but not the toes. And then bring your hands interlaced behind your head. So feel your head move back into your hands. And then feel your shoulder blades providing like this buttress of support for the chest. So they're lightly holding together on the back ribs. Take an inhale breath here, holding that left glute steady. Exhale, rotate to the right in the ribs, not changing in the shoulder blades. Inhale back through center. Exhale, rotate to the right. Inhale back through center. Exhale to the right. 2 more times here. Inhale. Exhale, turning in the ribs but holding the pelvis steady. Last one. Now we'll hold it here. Bring your left hand down underneath the shoulder, setting up for twisted crescent. So hand on the block or the floor. Right hand can come to that left shoulder head and hug that shoulder down away from the ear. Plug that shoulder blade onto your back ribs as you turn your chest to the right so that shoulder doesn't dip forward with you. The right arm can reach up. You can stay here. You could tuck the back toes and lift the knee, working that left glute. But feel the work of leaning back into that left shoulder blade, right? Knowing it's going to support you. It's strong. Take one more big breath in, breathing into that top side of the waist. And then right hand comes down next to the left. Turn to face the long edge of your mat for side lunges. So feet are parallel here. We're sitting back into the hip creases. You could have your fingers in there, just encouraging, moving back into the hips, not forward into the knees. Let's do one more each side. And we'll turn to face the back for gate pose. Lower the right knee and then pivot the foot back. Left leg reaches now toward the former front of the mat. So right hand lowers underneath the shoulder. Hug that shoulder head away from the ear. And the left arm can reach up, plugging that right shoulder blade onto the back ribs. You could also bring your left fingertips to the humeral head and then start to do this little mini backstroke. And just noticing how this stability on the bottom shoulder allows us to get this mobility on the top shoulder. Right, so that's what we want from the shoulder blades, to be able to stabilize when we want, mobilize when we want, switch back and forth when we want, so that we are free to do all the things that we want. Left hand, it comes down to the floor. Now internally rotate the left hip so the left foot goes behind you. Now turn your right toes to the front of the mat with the knee bent. Stargazer, lifting the right elbow up, and the palm can flip away. Pulling that left shoulder blade onto the back ribs. Lifting into that right side of the waist, side of the body. Right hand comes down, right knee comes down. Three-legged downward facing dog, right leg reaches up. Bend your right knee and start to circle this right hip. So we're moving in the ball and socket joint of the hip without bopping the pelvis around. We're holding the armpits and the forearms up, lifting in the ribs. And so everything is nice and stable, supporting that mobility. Step the right foot forward as you push into the hands, open up to the long edge of the mat for goddess. So you can play around with the turnout of your feet. Go wherever is comfortable for you. Now we're going to bring the left hand on top of the right hand in front of you. You can make fists and pull the elbows back. As you do that, the shoulder blades are pulling in towards your chest without thrusting in the ribs. You got it. And then right hand on top of left. Pull back. Keep going there. We're just alternating the cross of the hands. Feel that work. The shoulder blades not only pulling in a bit towards each other, but pulling into the body, into the chest. You've got so much strength here. Now we'll turn to face the front of the mat. Three-legged downward facing dog, left leg reaches up. Push into the hands, step the left foot forward as far as you can for bent knee standing L. Right leg lifts up just to hip height. The hands could be on blocks again, but feel this slight dragging back of the hands to pull the chest through. And you feel almost the shoulder blades sitting on the back ribs like these little feet. Right foot steps back, left leg reaches up, three-legged down dog. Push into the hands, step that left foot forward. Right leg lifts up, bent knee standing L. Reach the chest forward without the chin coming forward. Right foot steps back, left leg reaches up. Push into the hands, step the left foot forward. Right leg reaches back, shoulder blades on the back ribs. One more time, right foot down, left leg up. Push into the hands, step the foot forward. Right leg reaches back, and then bring the feet together. We'll come all the way down the floor and then make our way onto our backs. So grab a hold of your block or blocks here. We're going to roll over to the right side. Take the block on its highest setting. The left knee will come on top. And then you could also have a block or a pillow or blanket underneath your head if you like as well here. Now stack your left hand on top of your right. We're going to take the left fingers to the floor and start to circle them overhead. And we're doing this little opening of then the left arm crossing over the left hip and coming back. We're just making this nice big circle here. That left arm does not need to come anywhere near the floor when it reaches back. If you've got anything going on in your shoulders and this does not feel safe or supportive, you could also just go straight across the body like that. So just going wherever feels nice, restorative. And just feel how the scapula and those shoulder blades really are able to support this opening in the chest. And then we're going to switch sides when you're ready here. Now I could stay in that one for quite a while. So we'll come on to the left side. The right knee will come onto the block. Right hand stacks on top of the left, and the fingers could trace this big circle overhead, or the right hand on top of the left, and then just opening straight across if that would feel better on your shoulder. And then when you're ready, I'm just going to come around onto your back and set up for Shavasana. So you could have the knees bent or the legs straight. You could also place something behind your head. If once again you feel maybe the chin lifting up a bit. Take a few moments just to get settled in, wiggle, fidget in any way that you need to. And then when you're ready, just kind of feel this action of letting yourself just like plop down. Noticing any differences, even from when we started on our backs. Notice if those humeral heads feel like they can soften down a bit more. And like the chest can be a little bit more open. That you maybe have a little more awareness of your scapula on your back. And that your breath maybe feels a little bit easier. And let your next inhale be a little bit deeper. And your exhale a little bit slower. You can wiggle your fingers and your toes. And when you're ready, roll to your favorite side. Take a moment or two before eventually making your way up to a comfortable seat. That could also be on a block or blanket if you like. So just notice here, once again, maybe even how you're holding your shoulders, your ribs, and your neck a little bit differently. Notice this ability that we have to tap into this powerhouse of strength that we have on our backs. around all of these muscles that support our shoulders and our shoulder blades, so that we can move through our practices, we can move through our life with more ease, with more freedom, knowing that we've got that strength on our back, knowing that that is there to support us whenever we need it. So once more together, let's take a deep, full breath in through the nose. Open your mouth and let it go. If your eyes were closed, gently blink them open. Thank you so, so much for practicing with me today. I love this work. I always need more strength around my shoulder blades, so if you're the same, thank you for being here. I love doing this work with you. If you enjoyed this class, I would really appreciate it if you like and subscribe and share it with anyone else who you think might enjoy it. And I look forward to practicing with you again next time.